the September ANC 5E public meeting. I hope everyone had a nice Labor Day. At this time, I will accept a motion to amend the agenda to include 1609 Levis Street Northeast, and to accept the agenda with that amendment. And I move that we accept the agenda with the addition of 1609 Levis. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'd like to make a motion that we.
There's a motion. All right, moving right along. Commissioner Buggs, will you take the roll, please?
Good evening, everybody. Keisha Shropshire, Adam Roberts,
Present.
Bernice Blacknell, present. Patty Henderson,
Present.
I am Von Buggs, Lee.
Present.
Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Here is the quorum.
Okay. Since we have Lieutenant Mejia here, right on time, let me call you forward so that you can give us our public safety report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Over there, right over here. Let's try to run this side. All right. Good afternoon.
Lieutenant, can you state your name for the record?
Lieutenant Carlos Mejia, M-E-J-I-A.
Thank you.
Commander Fitzgerald, he's around. I'm not sure if he can make it into the meeting though. Just want to check in with everybody and see what the issues are. I understand we had a number of things going on. We've had a lot of communication through the listserv, which I think has been very good. I don't have anything right now with me, but I'm glad to speak to any issues that you want to address.
Well, reading post, there was a gun seized at State Fifth Avenue. When those guns are seized, that follow up to any, see if they were used in any crimes or anything like that?
Yeah, they're tested for whether they have been used in any other crimes, and see if it can be taken as evidence, or if they're a new weapon, or if they're related to something else, or if they're stolen property or anything like that.
So waiting more guns received, because that was, I think, Saturday's article.
Be sure to sign it.
I'm not sure. You're asking if there were any more seized since that time? There probably have been, but I haven't checked all the records for what we have. The other thing we've seen is there's a number of things like BB guns or plastic things that are covered up or made to look as firearms, but they're still just as threatening, even though, because the intent is to make us believe that it is a firearm. So we've seen a couple of those things. We got a BB gun recovered yesterday morning, and it looked identical to any other automatic firearm out there. So still just as dangerous, because if someone is under the impression that they're being robbed at gunpoint, it's still a scary situation to be in.
Okay, can you talk briefly about the gun award? We had a meeting here. Chief Lanier attended. Thankfully, it was very well attended, and we talked about a number of issues. But I noticed that MPD's put out a notice about citizens can turn in. Can you talk about that and give us the amount?
Well, like these flyers say, it's pretty much out there. Cash reward for up to $2,500 for the seizure of a lethal gun, and $10,000 for a tip leading to the arrest and conviction in a shooting. So the firearm itself, whether it is been used in anything or not, or it's just a weapon to be turned in, is $2,500. We have in the past had gun amnesty where anyone who had a firearm, whether it was legal or illegal, they could turn it in, and no questions were asked. We haven't done that in a while, but we're starting to get back into that. As it's been discussed often, we had this, as the mayor spoke about, although total numbers are flat, a little bit lower than last year. We've had that increase in violent crimes, gun-related also. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get illegal weapons off the street.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
So you're on point.
He's on point. Absolutely.
All right.
You guys can have something for some that may not be good for you.
Thank you.
Everyone has one. Okay. And like in any other thing, we ask always if you have information about any of these firearms that you know people who may have them, or you see somebody, we'll always ask that you can call 911 or forward it on a text tip. The information is on these handouts. Or call our Command Information Center at 727-9099. Yeah, that's the everything. Our Command Information Center, 727-9099, is where, if you're not calling in for an emergency 911, that's where information can go, or you can text it in. And it helps us. We say this all the time. We're a part of the system in crime prevention. The community is the bigger part because there's more of you, and you have more eyes and ears and information out there than we do. And we always try to keep those lines of communications open so that we do everything we can to mitigate crime that's going on.
Okay. It's my perception. Well, first of all, I really appreciate, on behalf of my constituents for 5D05, we really appreciate all hands on deck. The extra police presence really makes a difference. I've never heard any resident complain that there were too many police on the street during all hands on deck. I noticed that people who typically do not walk in the neighborhood at times of all hands on deck, they're out, they're enjoying the streets, which is certainly a benefit to the community.
Yeah. All hands on, what we get a lot of questions about is people often assume something's going on. Like, they see a lot of police out there, like, oh, is there a crime or something that occurred? But oftentimes it's that. We have our all hands on deck initiatives or any of the other initiatives that are going on. We have a influx of officers from all over the city. Everyone's working on all shifts. It's a show, it's a presence. It's to let those who are committing crimes know that we are here. We're here to make sure that they don't commit crimes as much as we can. So, it's also a way for the police to be out there present and visible, because all of those, through those all hands on deck initiatives, the majority of those are footbeats. So those officers are out there walking their footbeats, interacting with the community, getting information as much as possible.
And we always supposed to tell you when something's good going on. So last week, one of the officers was walking up Trinidad Avenue, and he engaged the young men by speaking to them, which made them move on. And that's some of the things that we don't see with our police officers, because a lot of times if you engage them, why are you sitting on somebody's fence? Just ask a simple question. You want somebody sitting in front of your house. And he was doing that, and a single officer. He approached and they moved on. So just to let you guys know, I did see some positive effect. I mean, something really made a difference in Trinidad Avenue last week. They kept, he worked the whole block. Yeah, he did have a car. He parked, walked through the car, parked. Yeah, and he kept moving up, but he was out there all the evening.
Well, that's a big push that we're going for here, and I know the chief's spoken about it, about putting more officers, spending more time out there on foot, on segways, on mountain bikes, getting more involved in the community, engaging in that fashion, more than just radio runs and calls for service and just doing that in the cars and not being out there and a little more engaging. Unfortunately, sometimes when we're busy, the police officers are out there going from one part of town to the other. But yeah, there's a big focus on that, getting back to that kind of, that officer who through being proactive, through being engaging, even if it might be a group of youths or adults who may or may not be up to something, but the officers engage them and lets them know that the police are looking at them, that they're being observed for their activity, whatever it is. And it could be just something as simple as the officer walking up and saying, hey, how's everyone doing today? But sometimes that engagement can be a positive in both ways. If it's youth, you know, the officers are engaging them, speaking to them in a way that, you know, the officer can find out what's going on with them. But it's also if these people are up to no good, if they're smoking and drinking, and it just happens to be the officer came around the corner and caught them while they weren't doing that, it lets them know also, we know what you're up to. And sometimes that contact makes that group of individuals uncomfortable.
It does.
Because oftentimes we don't even have to do a whole lot. We don't have to give orders or anything like that. But just by us being there, it makes those groups of people who are up to no good uncomfortable. So I tell my officers often, you just engage people in conversation. And if they're willing to talk to you, they are. But if they're up to no good, oftentimes they'll move on of their own accord.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant. I can tell you that if you could give us crime stats for start with 507 and I guess 506 and then 505, we are seeing an increased presence. I've heard positive feedback. We need continued presence in the alleys. We have a house on L Street. You all have made arrests for some, few individuals breaking into that house, and we appreciate that. So we'd like the officers to continue to patrol the alleys. But, thumbs up, stay the course. But if you could give us the crime stats, that would be very helpful.
Okay. I'll get to those.
We'll start with 507.
I don't have those numbers. You wanted the actual numbers?
Yeah, it's my perception that crime in my area is actually down.
Okay.
Is that?
Without looking at like the specifics, I would say that after the all hands on decks and things like that, we do have a lull in crimes going on because there's so many officers out there. And through these initiatives that we've been doing, I would say that there probably is going to be a drop. Also, season change. Everyone's going back to school. That's definitely we're going to see a change from the summer spike. We're going to start seeing the fall drop down. Usually see some of that going on.
Do you guys, the police department and the fire department and the ambulance team, do you guys correlate records? Because I have a troubled apartment building on my block, and in the past 3 months, I could say at least weekly, the ambulance takes a person from the home. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's drug usage, maybe even in K2. So I'm just wondering, is the police department, when they're called, do they correlate or monitor what the people are being taken to the hospital for? Or I know it's HIPAA, but
well, I mean, yeah, as far as medical stuff, what they're being taken for, yeah, we don't get that information. All we respond to is what is present. As to what they're on or what's going on with them, not necessarily. But our Office of Unified Communication, which handles all of our calls for service and stuff like that, it's both fire and police. So as far as keeping records and stuff like that, of how many calls for service in a block or a building or an address or something like that, we do have that information. But what specifically?
because I'm just trying to find out what action I can take as a neighbor and the ANC commissioner, because they've been in the neighborhood less than 4 months, and literally every week someone's taken out on a stretcher. And I'm presuming it's drug usage because of the activities I'm seeing, but I don't have any concrete proof to say, landlord, they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing.
Well, I mean, that's something that that information can be obtained. It can be FOIA. You can see if OUC has that information available. But yeah, I mean, some of this responsibility does go back to landlords in making them, if there's a lot of police activity, if there's a lot of, everything from people loitering to, if the landlord isn't there.
And actually, the landlord is the government. It's a government.
Oh, okay.
Owned.
Well, if that's the case, then it's you have DCPS, Protective Services.
Okay.
They're the police for government-owned properties. So you call us also, and we'll contact them and see what can be done about that. Because there's laws and bylaws addressing activity and behavior and stuff like that in some of those places.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions from the audience? And Lieutenant Mejia, if you can, since we have citizens' concerns, we promised that you.
Yeah, no,
Okay. We promised to put citizens' concerns at the top of the agenda at the last meeting, because some people felt that, you know, they didn't have enough opportunity to address their concerns, and certainly we want you to know that we're here to serve the public and to make sure that we hear from you. So if you could stay for a short amount of time, just in case someone has a public safety related question.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Lee? You get together?
No.
Oh, okay. Citizens' concerns. Trying to move on. The Deputy Mayor, Courtney Snowden, is coming towards, removing her towards further down on the agenda to accommodate her attendance at other meetings, and I want to be able to allow each of you to have a robust discussion with her and to get your questions and your concerns addressed. So, citizens' concerns. Everyone's really quiet tonight. We can come back. If you don't have any citizens' concerns, we can move through the agenda and then certainly come back if that is your will.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns for Lieutenant Mejia?
No, I'll be out there handling phone calls.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
All right.
Keep up the great work.
Have a good day.
You too. Alrighty. We're moving towards, let's ask the Mr. I want to butcher your name, sir. Richard Golahan?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, you know what? Let me actually ask Mr. Hastings to come up first. You all said you had an infant issue. If you don't mind, we're gonna let them go first, so they can.
So I know last time I was here, commissioners asked for some additional information about printouts for each of you today, including the plans that I emailed you. I emailed you all the stuff. The Sun study and the letters of support I found as of last week. I think there have been more since, but after I put the packet, so.
Did you email the government email accounts?
Yeah.
They don't always work. Ladies and gentlemen, we just interjected a comment here, a statement here. The ANCs are all assigned a standard government email address. Unfortunately, they don't all work, so we don't always have access to the accounts. So if the commissioner, there is no requirement that any commissioner exclusively uses their government address. It's certainly preferred, but it's not required. In my case, I'm not able to even access my government account. So I always put my email address on flyers, khenderson029 at AOL, so I didn't get your Sun study, and I don't know if that was one of the issues.
I mean, it's also been on the BZA website for about a month now, so it's been public record and stuff for a while.
Mr. Hastings, we shouldn't have to look for your documents. Every developer and every person requesting our assistance has graciously provided documents to the commission as we've requested. So please don't give me a flippant response about how it's been on a website, because that's really not
I
responsive.
apologize.
No problem.
Yeah,
It's in here, the sunset. Mr. Lee?
I just wanted, my ANC email works. So I get all the emails, and I prefer that one, so that way I'm accountable to you if I don't do something, wherever that gets reported to, there it is. So I just want to know, because I've been getting your emails, been
Excellent.
corresponding with you through the
Yeah.
ANC email. You know you don't like what I say, but it works, well, mine works. And I just want to put that for the record, so
Thank you.
you can go online and look it up and just click it, and I get it.
So for everyone here, this is a project that we're trying to build a garage in our backyard, and we're asking for a zoning variance to go all the way to the back of the property to violate the rear yard setback. The plans are right here. There's a 3D render for anyone who wants to look at it too, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has about the project.
Okay, please just, for the record, what's your property address?
1329 Holbrook.
Okay, I see a letter here from Florida Avenue
So some of them are from close by, some of them are from further away. I think all of them are from within 5 feet. Yeah, 5B06 and other parts of 5B as well.
Typically, the BZA is looking for affected property owners. That means your immediate neighbors.
I know one immediate neighbor said he would be writing a letter. I talked to him on Friday. I don't know if he's mailed it yet, but I'm hoping to get that soon. And the other neighbor has expressed no opposition to the project, but probably will not be on the letter of support.
And so remind us how many cars the parking lot was covered?
This isn't a parking lot, it's just a garage, a one-car garage with an apartment above it, yeah.
And for the benefit of the audience, can you give a brief overview of your project? And what you're requesting?
Okay, well, so I'm requesting, as I said, relief of the rear yard setback requirement, which basically will allow me to build a garage at the back of the property, build a small connecting trellis to the main house, and then that's about it.
The terminology, for those of us that's not, as, because could you maybe simplify the terminology when you use words like trellis?
A trellis is like what you find in a garden to provide shade. It's just a little structure with sort of wooden slats on top. Just provides a little bit of shade, that's it. If you sit under it in the rain, you're going to get wet. It's not anything fancy.
It's a covered walkway.
Yeah, a covered walkway, except it's not even covered. It's just, it provides shade in the sunshine.
Your overall goal is to, expand
Can you speak up, sir?
I'm asking a question, which, excuse me, for first of all, good evening, my name is Stephen Martin. I was asking, your overall goal is the beautification of your property or to expand your living?
Yeah, it's to expand the living space for the property. So this garage would have a one-bedroom / studio apartment on top of it, and that's the simplified answer is that's what the zoning change is going to allow.
Okay, and this, okay, and is that going to be for your personal use, for rental property?
We have 2 sets of parents who are getting older, and our hope is that we can get them to move a little closer to us. Yes.
What is the current height and what is the proposed variance that you're?
The current height of
Oh, you're proposing to build an apartment
Correct.
above your garage.
above a garage that does not exist yet. I'm proposing to build a garage as well.
Okay, and what is the height?
The proposed height is 24 feet. And the height of both my house and the house across the alley that will actually be closest to the garage is 27 feet.
And what's the variance you're looking for?
Rear yard setback, what was your question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Michelle James. This is my first time attending a meeting. I just have a question. I'm trying to understand. This is my first time here. You're asking for the variance from the setback. I guess what I thought anyway was that I'm in Woodridge. Are you in Woodridge?
I'm in Trinidad.
You're in Trinidad. Do we have different zoning
Possibly.
regs? Because I know
Some things are different, some things are the same. It's the variance I'm looking for. It's a little tiny bit confusing. So I could build a garage back there as sort of just a matter of right, but putting the second story on it forces me to ask for a setback relief.
Okay.
So that's specifically why I'm here asking for ANC approval.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna say, I know in Woodridge, we're zoned single-family residential, and
Yeah,
so
this is
does adding is one of the issues adding the apartment, does it change, it's a change in the current zoning?
I think it's because it's a living space as opposed to not having plumbing or a kitchen. I think it makes
It has no plumbing?
No.
It will
His
be
does,
fully
because it's
proposed.
his does, he has to ask for a variance. If it was just a garage, it sounds like he does not have to ask for a
Right, well,
variance.
that's what and I guess I'm trying to understand whether the issue is is the
It
fact
would
that
change, it would change the sort of, I guess, the definition of property from a single family dwelling to a 2-unit flat, both of which are permitted in R4. I'm not sure about your
Okay.
district, but
Gotcha. Okay.
in
We're not
R4, restricted is both.
Okay, we're not.
That's a matter of right.
Gotcha.
Excuse me, Commissioner Lewis, then Ms. Ramsey. Ms. Ramsey?
Is it correct, you're not asking for a variance, it's just a special exception?
It's a special exception.
Which is treated
Yeah.
differently by BCA?
Yes, the burden of proof is a little bit lower for special exception.
It's not as severe a request?
Correct.
So it's not a height, you're not asking for increase in height?
Oh, absolutely not. No, there's no increase in height. I think the pop-ups are pretty ugly myself, so, yeah, no way.
When is your hearing, your BZA hearing?
September 29th.
Are there any other questions or concerns?
Last but not least, from you, and you actually spoken to neighbors on both sides.
Yeah.
Now, the one directly across, like the house,
Oh, yeah, that's the one I'm expecting a letter of support from him any day now. He told me he would send it over the weekend, but we're still waiting for it.
Commissioner Lewis?
Since you were building a garage, is the garage going to be primarily for the main house, or will you also need additional parking for your second story? I understand that part, but do you already have sufficient parking? Because I'm thinking if you have additional family or whoever upstairs, they might need parking. So will you be able to accommodate both sets of families or whoever's staying there?
We'd be able to park on the street and just let them park in the
Yeah, we could do that too.
That way they don't get a ticket.
Would you briefly discuss the results of the sun study?
So the results of the sun study are that about 99% of the time the sun falls on my own property or on the street. There are, I believe, 2 cases where the sun falls on, or the shadows fall on adjacent properties. Very early in the height of the summer, for about 9 to 10 a.m., there's a little bit of shadow on my adjacent neighbor's property. And I believe late afternoon in spring and fall, there's a corner of shadow on my neighbor across the office property. Other than that, as you can see there, all the shadows fall on the street or on my property.
I'm looking for your sun study, you said it was in the packet.
Yeah.
It looks like 2-point font, so I'm not able to ask.
Oh, no, keep going, keep going. Yeah, see these.
Okay.
Those photos show shadow projections at various dates and various times. It allows you to see where the shadows fall and what their impact is.
I think at the last meeting, or the last time you presented, we asked you to provide support from your neighbors. I will ask for, or allow the commissioner to request a motion to support the project, but I would recommend that it be contingent upon you providing signed letters of support from your neighbors. It looks like you've gotten letters from people throughout the community, and typically what's most compelling for the BZA is letters of support from your affected neighbors. That means your most immediate neighbors that are going to be affected by your project.
As I said, I've got one coming, so I'd be willing to, I'm not sure what I'd be willing to do there, but if you're not willing to take my word for it, then I'm willing to take my word for it.
It's not a question, this is an administrative hearing, and they're not going to take your word for it. They're going to ask for letters of support.
It's in the mail right now.
It's fine. Again, okay, we need, and the letters that you've included are really not responsive. We need letters, signed letters, so the ones, you do have a couple from Holbrook. We'd ask that you go
And
back and sign
promotes,
those.
because that's another affected street.
Which side, it's 1500, even side or the odd side?
I believe there are 2 letters from the even side, maybe one of them's still coming. Again, the odd side's more difficult because the property owners aren't there. They're not on site, some of them are LLCs, like I have trouble getting a hold of them. All I have are the addresses in the tax record database.
How about 1500 Oak Street?
1500,
Oak Street.
we're trying to move from that.
That's the corner house that fence. live on one side, the apartment unit, the other two sides they rent.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Right,
I
that's your
should,
point.
I can go talk to them and get a letter from them. Absolutely.
Commissioner Bug?